Welcome back to Real Talk, everybody. We are going to address the topic of sunrises and sunset. Maila, you look like you're about to go to the beach right now.
That's such a hippy-dippy topic, isn't
know,
it?
right?
Yes, and I wore this outfit because this is the color of the sky, I feel, when we get sunrises and sunsets in Hawaii. Cotton candy is what we call it.
For sure, I love it. I love it.
Thanks.
But when it comes to sunrises and sunsets, I mean, that's just one of the greatest appeals of being in Hawaii, right? Where we get to enjoy just, I want to say, God's beauty, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's so true.
And so when it comes to, just maybe your top three or maybe your top few select places where you like to enjoy sunrises and sunsets, what are some of those spots?
Oh, you got it. Okay, sunrises would definitely be Kailua.
Kailua, yes, beautiful.
Kailua is really cool for a moonrise as well. So I feel like, if you live in Kailua, if you're hanging out in Kailua, take advantage of that. Sunsets, I would say my very favorite place to watch is Ko'olina. Ko'olina is amazing.
Yeah, is there any particular, I know there's the four coves, but is there any particular one that just has the best view?
Cove number one at the Four Seasons, for
Four
sure.
Seasons, right,
The sun just lingers out there.
Me and my wife would sometimes go to Cove 2 where you just kind of go around the corner and you go on the rocks and you can just put out like a lawn chair, put out a beach chair and just enjoy just the transformation of
oh
the
my
sky.
gosh. And it's like you can be looking at the sky and then like 10 seconds later the colors have totally changed.
Yeah.
It's so cool. But then I think a very, very close second to Ko'olina is North Shore.
North Shore, beautiful, yeah.
So beautiful.
Any particular spot in North Shore for you?
Anywhere in Haleiwa, you can catch a great sunset. From, Waimea Bay, if you want to roll up there, Sunset Beach, really any of the homes along the water.
Absolutely.
The sunsets are absolutely stunning.
And a lot of it is dependent on the time of the year too, where you'll kind of see the sun shifting depending on your location, right?
Yep. And in real estate, sunrises and sunsets play a big part in what neighborhood you're going to buy in.
Right.
I remember somebody telling me once, I was like, I really want to live in Hawaii Kai. And it was another agent that said, Hawaii Kai is a great place to live. Why? And I said, why? And she goes, you're never driving into the sun. And I thought, oh, that was an interesting perspective. And I didn't realize that it's also very much an Asian thing. Our Asian buyers will consider that. Where does the sun come up? Where does the sun go down?
I always have to think, is it east from west or west to east, right?
And where in the house does the sun rise or go down, right? Because that plays a big part in your electricity, right? The time that you're spending in your home, right? So if you're in the home during sunset and, you could be just like dying if the sun is coming right into your living room. Or just thinking about in the morning when the sun comes in through your window, how is that going to affect you? These are things that sometimes I feel people don't know they have an understanding of. This is why I like this neighborhood. Because why? Oh, because the sun goes down on this side and I'm more of a night owl. I prefer seeing the sunset as opposed to the sunrise.
No, it's so funny that you brought that up because when we were selecting our condominium, we had about selection of 2 properties and the deciding factor was because of, there was one property where there was a huge majority of the time where the sun was going to be hitting it and it was going to warm up the property and probably up our electricity bill with our AC, right?
Yep.
And so, that was a huge deciding factor for us.
It's huge. Yeah. We owned a condo in Kaka'ako, and we were on the mountainside. And typically, people are more drawn to ocean view, right? Ocean view comes with a higher value. Sometimes it can be $100,000 difference from one unit on the mountainside to the unit just across the hall, same floor plan. We just sold our mountain view. And one of the ways that I pitched my mountain view as the desirable unit to live in was that it was cool. It was cool from morning through night. And I would tell people, hey, go check out that other unit on the ocean side right now at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and come back and talk to me. And they would go and they'd come back and be like, oh my gosh, that unit was so hot. And even with tint on the windows and even with the AC going, there's only so much you can control, right? The sun belongs to God. So. He's got all the power in there. And, so those are just not good or bad, but
Yeah.
certainly it's preference.
Absolutely.
And sunrises and sunsets are something you should think about when you're buying real estate.
Definitely, when it comes to maybe there's certain neighborhoods or maybe there's certain types of properties, but what's something, if somebody is saying, hey, I wanna get into a unit, maybe it's in a condominium or maybe it's a single family residence with a view of a sunrise or sunset, what would be, there's just so many options, right, to be able to go about it. But how would somebody pick a spot where they can just enjoy, whether it's a sunrise or a sunset?
Sunrises and sunsets are going to be seen either on your low-lying beach properties or it's going to be your hillside properties. So anything up in St. Louis Heights, anything up in Mauna Lani Heights, Waialainui Ridge, Mariners Ridge, you're going to get to see the sky do its thing. And then for a sunrise, for example, that's going to be Kailua, that's going to be Lanikai, it's going to be anything along the beach. Waimanalo even is a wonderful place where you can catch sunrises, but you will have to be closer to the beach. Now, I bought a hillside property somewhat in Hawaii Kai, and my property, I'm in Hahaione Valley, and I have an ocean view, and so that was one of the things that drew me to the property. But the funny thing is that I don't get a sunrise and I don't get a sunset. And it's like, what? How did that happen? You can see to the ocean. But just the way that this particular valley is positioned between the two mountains, and even though I've got ocean, I never actually see the sun set. Which at first I was like, well, gosh, I got shortchanged on that. That's a bummer. But actually, it's been such a blessing because we never have straight on sun in our home. So we get to open our windows, we get cross breezes from east to west, and it's wonderful. And then when the sun does go down, we get the silhouette of the mountain and we still get all the colors of the sky. So it's pretty cool.
That's so amazing. When it comes to just the uniqueness of a sunrise or a sunset in Hawaii, right? I mean, you can enjoy a sunrise or a sunset pretty much anywhere else in the world, but there's just something so unique and special.
Really is.
Yeah, I mean,
really is.
yeah. So for you as a local growing up here, what was that experience like for you? Just being able to just enjoy the beach, and maybe it's like where you get your friends together, and it becomes an event almost sometimes, right? Yeah,
it does. And that's what makes living in Hawaii so unique is our landscape. You know, just being able to at any moment take an incredible selfie, right?
For the gram, the gram,
or snap a photo and send it to a friend on the mainland and say, "Wish you were here." Right? It's really, really cool to be able to appreciate the beautiful surroundings that we have. And I get asked this question all the time: does living in Hawaii get old?
Yeah.
And I'm like, let me think about that. Okay, traffic can be a bummer. It's not perfect here, just like anywhere else.
We hear certain people having island fever, whatever that's all about, right?
But man, when you get to watch a sunset or a sunrise or a moonrise, there's nothing like it. You just come right back and you go, wow, I am so blessed that I get to live here. Even my 7-year-old niece I would have her on the weekends, and she looked forward to coming over to Auntie Maila's house. And she'd call me on like Friday morning, and she'd leave me voice messages. Auntie Maila, am I gonna get to come to your house this weekend? And can we go watch the sunset? And I'm like, this is a 7-year-old girl who has such an appreciation for this. She understands the power, or the mana that's the word we love to use here in Hawaii, which is power. But it warmed my heart so much that we got to plant that in her, and that she appreciates more than video games or Netflix or YouTube, right? She wanted to be outside, completely unplugged, watching a sunset with Auntie Maila. And I think that that's one of the special things about living in Hawaii and being able to say, I own a piece of this place because it allows me to connect to something that isn't man-made.
When it comes to just property values, does having a view with a sunrise or a sunset, does that drastically change just the overall value of whether it's a house or a condominium?
It does. Views make a huge difference. And actually, when we put a property into the MLS when we're listing a property, there's a question there that asks you to check off what the view is like. And it says sunrise, sunset, garden, ocean, mountain, city, right? And so those things, people do take those things into consideration and they do play a part on the value.
Oh, huge. Do you have a lot of clients or maybe prospective buyers that will ask about, whether it's the view or...
Oh, everybody.
Yeah.
Every new buyer or any buyer coming from the mainland or any buyer that's like stepping up from a condo wanting to move into a house now, they'll say, we would love to have a view. Yeah. It's not a requirement, but it is one of our preferences. Yeah. And then, of course, I do get the buyers that are like, no, we have to have a view. I have to look at something. And that was the hard part for us. We moved from a condo with a mountain view, but it was still a view. Like we got rainbows every day and it was, city lights at night. It was amazing. But it actually presented us with a challenge because when it came time for us to sell that and to buy a single family home, it was like, how are we ever going to buy something that's on the ground where we're not looking at some sort of a expansive something or another, And so, we ended up in Hawaii Kai on a hill as a result. I still don't have the sunset, but I've got the mountain and I've got the ocean. I'm getting there.
which is enough in itself, right?
It is. It's plenty.
Be able to enjoy. So again, sunrises and sunsets, they're one of the most main attractions to wanting to live in Hawaii, to be able to enjoy lifestyle and just all of creation, right? I mean, there's no place like Hawaii and just the beauty that comes from
true.
Even just our sun and our water and beaches and so forth. And so Maila, just thank you so much for just showing us the value of being able to enjoy creation, and it's just so much that Hawaii has to offer. And
My pleasure.
Yeah, so thank you guys, and we'll see you next time.
Aloha.
Mahalo everybody for tuning in to this episode of Real Talk. Hungry for more? Well, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to get updated for our next episode of Real Talk. We'll see you guys next time.